It's 1936, and a brutal civil war brings a nightmare glimpse of the future to Spain's historic cities.
The Nazis decide to set up a whole squadron, which is known as the Condor Legion. That air power makes a decisive difference in many of the battles in the Civil War.
It's the birth of the Blitzkrieg, mass destruction delivered by a ruthless, fascist air force, backed by Adolf Hitler and equipped with cutting-edge weapons.
The Germans built beautiful aeroplanes. German engineering at its best was in the aviation world.
Now, 80 years later, on an airfield in Yorkshire, a relic of Spain's fascist air force is about to be reborn.
Well, that looks about right, doesn't it?
Can't be.
But this veteran biplane seems to be jinxed.
It's a series of problems over 6 years, so today isn't going to be any different. We're going around in circles.
On the flat farmland south of York, an airbase where time has stood still.
It was a Second World War airfield built for bombers. I bought the place in '89, and we started a small club here. It grew and grew.
Okay, one more. Oh, look.
At Breeton Aerodrome, RAF veteran Tony Smith, Taff to his friends, has built up one of Britain's biggest collections of vintage aircraft. And now he and engineer Ian Ross are embarking on a controversial restoration.
Brick radio, says Jungmeister Fox radio, check out the rig.
They're rebuilding a Bucker Jungmeister biplane, used to train the Air Force responsible for the deaths of tens of thousands of innocent Spaniards in one of the 20th century's bloodiest conflicts.
It's a page of history, simple as that. And, you know, we treat every aeroplane exactly the same, whether it be an Air Force aeroplane or a Luftwaffe aeroplane, doesn't matter. It's a page of history that needs to be remembered.
More than a year ago, when Spain's dapper General Franco led his well-drilled Foreign Legion and Moorish troops into Spain, his fascist rebellion became of major concern to every first-rank power in Europe.
In 1936, Hermann Goering, the head of Nazi Germany's Luftwaffe, created the Condor Legion, a mercenary air force sent to support fascist rebel General Franco. It brought devastation to Spain's ancient cities. Historian Professor Peter Anderson is an expert on the conflict.
Germany hadn't been allowed an air force after the Versailles Peace Treaty. They'd kept it secret, the build-up of the air force. And I think Goring sensed that now there was an opportunity to try out, to test and to develop.
In a grim rehearsal of what was to follow, as many as 1,600 civilians died when the Legion levelled the Basque town of Guernica. Other, bigger targets were to follow.
The air squadrons he sent to bomb the city should theoretically have demoralized its people, destroyed their will to resistance.
Now, 80 years on, Tony plans to recreate one of the planes that were built to secure General Franco's grip on power. The complex restoration is beginning at an airfield on the Audley End estate in Essex, home base of aircraft restorer Clive Denny, Warbird engineer and pilot.
I've got 73 different types that I've flown solo, and probably 50 of those are World War II aeroplanes.
Clive is one of the UK's leading experts in covering fabric planes, and his latest project is Tony's Jungmeister.
Well, basically, this is the fuselage covering. Like a big model aeroplane, it's covered in a fabric, and then the fabric is shrunk, and then it's doped, and it's the dope that forms the protection between the outside and the inside. It basically seals up the fabric. This is a modern fabric we're using at the moment. Originally, it would have been Irish linen. So even during World War II, the Germans got their Irish linen from Southern Ireland.
The metal framework of the Jungmeister's fuselage has been painstakingly rebuilt.
It is a bit of a lost art, can be a bit of a black art as well sometimes. There are different techniques of doing it, and we've managed to learn the Italian techniques, which are probably the most extreme in the world. The German techniques are very interesting. The British are very basic, as are the American techniques, but the principle is the same.
Hitler gave Franco a production line to produce his own planes. and this was among the first to be built as an advanced trainer.
The Germans built beautiful aeroplanes, beautifully designed, they flew beautifully. German engineering at its best was in the aviation world.
This work will cost Tony £20,000. It requires skill and extreme care.
The secret is not to stretch the fabric too much and just let it glue on. Because when we actually shrink the fabric, it will go as tight as a drum.
The Jungmeister will be joining a huge collection back at Breton.
We've got about 40, 50 airplanes here now, all vintage airplanes. We don't allow modern aircraft in the hangars, and so there's a sort of a camaraderie among all the club members, a lot of common interests, and we just have a lot of fun.
Looking good. So far.
Everything flies. I think that you look at the designs of the airplane and what they were used for, you know, like the Magister, 1940, so that would have been used by many Battle of Britain pilots for their basic training. The young one we have here, that's a German trainer. And of course the Ryan, that's an American trainer. So all these airplanes have fulfilled very, very important roles in their time.
Right, switches are off.
Tony and his team are keeping their flying experience up in preparation for the new arrival.
I'm lucky that I can play in the toy box with the toys, which is great. So, you know, we have a lot of fun for sure.
Flying pre-war biplanes demands skills that are now hard to find.
You just have to be careful about when you fly them, so the weather's got to be good. You know, you're not going to fly them in extreme crosswinds. You've got to be so careful about who you choose. There's a huge responsibility involved, and they have to be really level-headed. We need good pilots who can handle tail draggers.
Tony already has the two-seat version of the little Jungmeister, the Youngman Basic Trainer.
Well, the first thing is you've got to use your feet. Because modern airplanes, the rudder input is basically bred out of the airplane in the design. But these airplanes, you have to be coordinated. So for the turns to be coordinated, you've got to use the rudder as well as the aileron. So there's a lot more feeling involved, a lot more feedback from the airplane, whereas with a modern airplane that's designed for leisure purposes, they're designed to be very, very safe, and you don't need to put the input in they have to with something like this. It's a matter of instilling the discipline in them that's required for airplanes that are 8 years old. It's something that you've got to bear in mind all the time. I mean, you're taking off thinking about if the engine stops, where you're going to land, because that's the way it is. I mean, I've had 3 engine failures. Still here.
They're lovely airplanes to handle, and generally speaking, you know, I mean, you know, we don't have problems.
Got some oil on the spinner, believe it or not. Yeah.
Engineer Ian oversees the airfield fleet.
It's down to poor old Ian to make sure that everything is serviceable, and he looks after the welfare and the maintenance of the airplanes and tries to sort of, you know, keep the pilots under control, basically. If it wasn't for Ian, we'd be in a lot of trouble.
Finding parts for planes that went out of production 60 years ago isn't easy.
People know that we're interested in these airplanes. We get phone calls. Sometimes we get people who will just give us parts. If somebody passes away, then, you know, we'll get a phone call from the wife saying, take all this stuff out the garage. You know, that's how it happens, and people are very kind to us. So, you know, it works out pretty good.
Much of the Jungmeister skeleton was bought at an auction of Spanish Air Force parts in 1963. Some major components are already taking shape.
The wings are finished and covered. The fuselage is covered now, so we'll bring that back up on a trailer in about another week, and then we can start hanging bits on. And I reckon by June, July, it'll be finished.
But Tony's timetable is about to be proved hopelessly optimistic. It's October 2018, and veteran pilot Tony Smith has come to Audley End to see progress on the Spanish Jungmeister.
Well, Clive's the man. Clive's, you know, probably the best in the country in terms of fabric work.
The Jungmeister's metal framework is now covered.
In the past, I've always fabricated my own airplanes, but really, I'm trying to get the airplane finished. This is my last big project, so it's a matter of just trying to push the thing on a bit. So all this is new Sitka spruce. Obviously, all the metal parts are all original, but the woodwork side of things, you know, it's best to really just completely rebuild it with a modern glue. The old glues were milk derivative glues, which smelt and rotted. When you're actually looking at an old airplane, you sure sign of it actually having the original glue in, because when you smell it, it smells like milk that's gone off.
Today, they're reuniting the wooden top of the fuselage and the bottom.
Okay, so we'll put it on forward of the lugs, Clive, please. It's moved around a bit because of all the doping and you know, and all the varnishing, but it'll all fit and bend into place quite happily.
It's more than a year since the wooden part of the fuselage was finished, and it's attracted a layer of dust.
They'll never be seen again, but Clive can't stand the fact that they'll be dirty underneath the fabric.
Germany's designers never lost an opportunity to save a fraction of an ounce in weight. The lighter the plane, the better it flew.
But everything's cut to size, so we've not got any excess material. If you put in a nut on a boat, there's normally a couple of threads showing in safety, and that's all there is, so we haven't got any extra weight on the nuts and bolts. So if you do that for every nut and bolt of the thousands that are on the airplane, you're going to save yourself a lot of weight, because obviously on an airplane like this, weight is horsepower. This was designed the same year as the Tiger Moth, and people are going to hate me for saying this, but in terms of the comparison between this and the Tiger Moth, this is just...
There's no comparison.
There isn't a comparison. So, you know, Luftwaffe pilots will be coming off training on this compared to our pilots who would have come off a Tiger Moth. It's just as well we had Spitfires.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, good airplane.
Clive will fabric the top, and then we'll be ready to paint it in its Spanish colours. Then it'll come back up to Breton with all the insignia on, all the markings on, and then we can start assembling at Breton. This is the nice bit. Yeah.
Well, I think the nice bit's when you're going down the runway.
You're right, actually.
It will be the first time the markings of Franco's Air Force have been painted in 80 years. Until recently, it was illegal to display fascist symbols in Spain. This plane is a reminder of a war that killed 500,000 Spaniards. It's November 2018 and a trailer has arrived at Breton. Clive's work is complete.
Oh, it's superb. Yeah, it's a really nice job, which was what was to be expected. But yeah, it's going to be spectacular. And the nice thing about it is, of course, is that the scheme is the actual scheme that the airplane had. So it's got the logbook, it's got the serial number. 3.5 is the type, the Spanish Air Force type, which is Jungmeister, and then 2.3 is the actual serial number of the airplane as it was in the Spanish Air Force, so it's completely original, it's superb. The emblem, this is a Condor Legion scheme, and it's 5 bunch spears, which is, you know, unique to it, and all their airplanes have this on. This is heavy, Edward. And just watch the top of the combing, Alan. Okay. And we're going to put, see those little pegs, they're going to go in there, all right? That's it, we're good, Tom. We'll turn this upside down next week, and we'll put the undercarriage on, put the wheels on, then turn it the right way up, put it on his feet, and then we'll start adding on the empennage, so all the tail section, which is already painted, all the controls will be in, so everything works. For me now, you know, as I'm getting older, I suppose, the satisfaction of actually building it is as much as the satisfaction of flying it. Basically, you're creating something, aren't you? Something that was in a pile of junk in a hangar in Texas, which is how it started off, and suddenly it's a living, breathing thing, and it's been saved from the dustbin, you know.
Do you know what the current gauge is? Can I get 3 fingers in there, or can I get 4?
It's January 2019, and for engineer Ian, work is accelerating. assembling the thousands of components sourced from all over the world. Word of the new arrival is spreading.
It's been a labour of love. I've watched its progress, really, as we've had cups of tea between sorties. It's a very, very nice thing. It's going to end up 200 horsepower. You know, its power to weight will be something else. A very, very iconic aerobatic aeroplane.
The boss has assembled all but a handful of components for the new plane.
So these are the mud guards. Then we've got a separate tank here, which is a smoke tank. And what we'll do is put smoke oil in there, and we introduce the smoke oil into the exhaust system, and that gives you a smoke effect for when you're doing exhibition aerobatics. In the box here, we've got a complete set of wings, finished, ready to put on. So they're covered, ailerons are fitted. So the engine's here. It's a big bore engine. There's 7 cylinders like this with 7 pistons. The magnetos are there. It's about 6 litre, 200 horsepower. But the beauty of it is that, you know, it doesn't weigh much. That's just the basic instrument panel. Some of it's really nice original stuff.
But finding parts hasn't been easy.
There's a lot of aviation enthusiasts, collectors, and they buy these bits and pieces on the internet, which of course pumps the price up. So people will pay a lot of money for that compass and put it on their mantelpiece. Even the clock, I mean, a clock is a typical example, an aviation clock. I mean, they just fetch big bucks on the market, you know. So a little clock like this, which is an 8-day clock, which you can wind up, to actually get one, you know, is quite difficult.
The Jungmeister was the plane that prepared Hitler's pilots for war. It gave the men who flew Messerschmitt 109s against the RAF in the Battle of Britain their skills. And many of Hitler's fighter aces had honed their abilities in Spain, flying as members of the Condor Legion.
In the Second World War, the Germans continued with a lot of the techniques they developed in the Spanish Civil War, most famously the use of dive bombing. So dive bombing was perfected really to try and get more precision, but also to create terror with the noise. If you think about the whole tactic of blitzkrieg, that's the idea of rapid advance using overwhelming power and force, and that coordination between aircraft, Air Force and ground troops was crucial. We see the same officers and air crew using the same tactics right through the Second World War.
It's been 2 months since the fuselage arrived back at Breton, and the plane is taking shape.
We've put the undercarriage on now. We've already put the empennage on, that's the tailplane. So we've got the stabilizer on, the elevators are fitted, the fin and the rudder are fitted, and all the controls are linked up now. So when I actually pull back on the stick, if you look at the elevators, you can see the elevators are now working. Same with the rudder works. So that's all the back end now is all plumbed in, and it's finished. When it's right, the airplane will just fly perfectly.
They're ready to join the fuselage to the wings.
And now we're coming up to a really significant part, because this is the centre section, and the centre section has to be put on absolutely correctly. Now, Phil, if you want to get up here now, this is the most important single piece of fitting that we do.
Have you got another bolt for this side, Tony?
Yeah, it's in. This really is the most critical thing. We've got to make sure that when we put it on, because it's an awkward lump, that we don't actually punch any holes in the fabric, which would make me cry. So that's it, yeah, it works, it fits. So what we'll have to do now, which will take another couple of hours, is to fit the wires on, get the symmetry right, so it's absolutely bang on with the fuselage, and there's no twist. And then once we've done that, we can start thinking about drilling off the final bolt holes. The strength of the airplane is in these type of wires. So these are the wires that hold the wings on and take the strain of the wings when the aircraft's actually flying. These are made of cold rolled steel up in Scotland. I think our flying wires for the airplane, including the wings, cost £12,000. Enormous amount of money, but they're polished, there's no nicks in them, they're perfect. And the thing with stainless, of course, you fit them and forget them, no corrosion issues.
The Spanish Civil War was among the last conflicts where combat pilots flew in open cockpits. Tony is building the frame that held the tiny windshield himself by hand.
I want more of a curvature here, so this bit of flange here, I'm using this device which expands the metal, it's jaws that push the metal out to increase the curve. It's very complex because it's a compound curve, so it's a matter of just walking backwards and forwards until it's right. But I think I'm nearly there, actually. And then that will eventually go on here like so.
The hangars at Breeton house one of the world's biggest collections of flying vintage planes, the result of Tony's lifelong passion and a partnership with businessman, pilot and aviation enthusiast Rob Fleming. Tony's son Jeremy grew up with his dad's obsession for historic planes, and he now flies some of them himself.
Ever since I can remember, there's been aircraft flying over the house, obviously at appropriate heights. Aircraft being built in the living room, in the garage. It's not just a narrow scope of interest that he's got. It's, you know, it's massive. It's across the entire sort of like history of aviation, really.
Tony's now in his 70s, but his enthusiasm has never dimmed.
Well, this is our oldest restoration. This is a Ronca C100. It was an airplane designed for the common man. I think originally it was 1936 and it cost £395. But if you wanted an airspeed indicator, that was extra. This is actually a compass swift. You can see that you sit in the back and there's no forward vision. But this aeroplane is very quick. This is a dark kitten. Again, this is the only one in the world. This is Little Luton Miner. Again, there's a few of these around. Even modern self-assembly airplanes these days, you know, you're talking 50, 60, 70,000 pounds for an airplane. Crazy, really. When you could build something like this for, I don't know, could probably, for the materials for this, probably £5,000.
It's not just the aviation side, it's the engineering side that he's interested in as well. And he's got this amazing ability attracting a lot of other enthusiasts as well, you know, to come along for the ride.
This is a Broussard. We bought this a couple of years ago from a Frenchman. This is a replica, Fokker DR1, so it's the Red Baron's triplane. We bought this, and we were very lucky because about 2 or 3 months later, they did the film Flyboys, and they hired this, plus 2 of us to go down and fly in the Flyboys film. Well, that's 2 examples of flying flea. Well, this one I've flown back from Australia to England when I was young and stupid.
It's an inherently dangerous sport, you know, it's not like motor racing where you can pull over on the side of the circuit, you know, it's 3-dimensional. When something goes wrong, it can get very serious very quickly. Over the years, yeah, he's lost a lot of friends.
Despite having amassed thousands of flying hours in hundreds of types, Tony even learned to fly helicopters late in his career.
This is a Bell 47. Its claim to fame, of course, is that we used in Korea in the MASH series. You concentrate all the time. It's not like a fixed where you cannot relax. This is an ex-Navy Wasp. Interestingly, it was designed to carry a nuclear torpedo.
I mean, I don't think there's really many other places like it. There's a lot of obscure aircraft, yeah, that probably wouldn't have a home anywhere else. But yeah, it's an amazing history of aviation.
But as work on the Jungmeister reaches its climax, Tony's about to surprise the restoration team with another acquisition.
Breeton, 700 November, finals.
While the rest of the team get on with the Jungmeister, Tony's been away for a few days. Another vintage aircraft is joining the collection.
This was executive transport, and the engines have just purred all the way back. Absolutely brilliant, you know, no problems at all.
This 1955 Beech 18 is the airfield's latest relic.
The design is ageless. This will be flying in another 60 years.
To get it here, Tony has flown it 3,000 miles across the Atlantic from the USA.
Is this Breeton Aerodrome? Well, we went up into Canada to Peterborough to Goose Bay to Narsarsuaq in Greenland, Reykjavik, and then Scotland, Wick.
An old friend, Peter Scott, was his co-pilot.
We managed to do Goose Bay to Iceland in one day, refuelling at Narsarsuaq. It was a long, 9 hours.
We thought we were going to have trouble in Greenland because we refueled out of barrels. And you have to buy a whole barrel. There's 4 tanks on it, so the first 3 tanks, and we were just about that much from the last tank, weren't we? We had to buy another bloody barrel, you know, $600 a barrel. and of course they kept the rest of it, you know, and I said, well, what about the rest of the fuel? That goes in the snowmobile, you know.
The flight meant braving Arctic weather and icy seas.
If it goes wrong, you're finished, you know, there's no way anybody's going to get out to you. Yeah, and the immersion suits can only keep you going for about 20 minutes. You've got to keep having adventures, yeah. So keeps you young. Short field, I mean, it must have stopped in 400 yards.
No, it stopped well short, yeah.
Engineer Ian is used to Tony's passion projects.
The props, there's no oil all over the place.
No, it's extraordinary.
Is there any oil in it?
Sorry to interrupt, but this is very, very heavy.
Sorry to interrupt, this is very heavy.
And Tony's hunger for new planes shows no signs of easing.
One of my friends has rung up saying that a guy's bought a broussard in Sierra Leone.
Roger.
It's midsummer and there's a special get-together.
Roger.
Tony's invited pilots to see the Spanish Jungmeister for the first time.
Craft Whiskey Golf that's just airborne.
And there's no shortage of visitors.
We have a biannual event here, and we invite all the bookers from Europe to come here, and it's always been quite successful.
Like the Jungmeister, all these aircraft were designed by the Bucker company that made the biplanes that helped Hitler build up his air force in the 1930s.
You can line all the bookers up on the taxiway.
Right, okay.
We've got 12 bookers in here for the weekend, including our own stuff, which is not a bad result.
And Whiskey Golf, what's your position?
Try golf if you're playing down with left.
Because of the type of aeroplane, you've really got to marry the airplane, you've got to get your hands dirty. There's probably, for every hour you fly, you're doing an hour of work on the airplane, more perhaps. So it takes a certain type of person. You know, it's a good fellowship here.
These biplanes have transcended their connection with the Nazis, even among visiting German pilots like Gunter Krump.
My father was trained in it and my grandfather, so I have a special relation to it. Everybody loves it who flies it, but it's critical to take care because there are not very many spare parts and you have to do a lot of work maintaining it.
6 years of my life.
But it's worth it, isn't it?
Tony has gone to extraordinary lengths to ensure his plane is as original as possible.
Nowhere on this airplane is there a Phillips screw head because they
didn't have
weren't around then.
Yeah.
I think people are really impressed with it. I feel it's the best one I've ever done, so I'm quite excited about it all. We just need to get the engine sorted out now. The wings are finished, then we've just got to hang the engine, you know. So, but it's getting there. It's getting there.
Fuel.
Okay. Switches off. 8 blades, please.
Until the Jungmeister is finished, Tony must make do with its big brother, the two-seater Bucker Jungmann, the plane which prepared pilots to fly the faster, more agile single-seater. Once flown, it's never forgotten by its pilots.
The magic of the Jungmann, really you need to sit in one and have a go really to find it, but it just flies so beautiful. The controls really harmonised.
It's a construction, it's flying like biking, it's very light in the controls. You can do aerobatics. It's fun to fly it.
It's May 2020, and in the hangar at Breton, engineer Ian is working on the new plane's beating heart, its antique American engine.
Well, it's a pre-war design, but this one was made late wartime, 45. Relatively straightforward and simple, but it has its own peculiarities, as all these things do. Most difficult is probably understanding the manuals and the drawings, which were written in a different age. Typical of manuals written at the period, they assumed that everybody knew what they were doing, and we're all pretty much highly trained in these kind of skills. So there's a lot of things that they assume that you know, which you have to teach yourself. I'm hoping that we'll have all 7 cylinders on and torque loaded in 2 or 3 hours tomorrow. and I'll let you know what the hard bit is tomorrow.
Ian is as good as his word. Alone in the hangar, he brings together 450 parts to create an engine, fully adjusted, primed, and ready to go. And another 24 hours later, it's ready to fly.
It's 330 pounds, this engine, which is a third of the total weight of the aeroplane. So when the undercarriage accepts the weight of the aeroplane, things will change on the fabric. That's about it, that's about it. I'll just pull it forward then, just gently.
Just 4 bolts hold the engine onto the plane. It's a precise piece of engineering, and each hole needs to be aligned exactly.
Okay, that looks pretty good, Phil. Let's try 2 washers in the bottom of the top lug, eh? It's just alignment. There's 4 rubber bushes to align, basically. What's that look like? Got one in. 3 to go.
Using only muscle power and a block and tackle, the engine is being nudged into position.
That doesn't look bad, actually. We've just got to move very, very carefully and just try and get all the elasticated joints in line, one by one. So, right, just take the weight off then, Phil, and just see whether that gives us a bit of room for manoeuvre.
Right, coming off.
Yeah, go on. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going.
It's touch and go.
I think you've just got to be careful you're not breaking anything, basically.
But finally,
go.
It's in. There's just one vital component missing, but it's got to come a long way.
We ordered the prop from Florida yesterday, and they'll have it ready. So when I go to the States week after next, I'll be able to collect my propeller and hopefully bring it back on Virgin Transport if Mr. Branson will let me.
All that remains now is to create the aluminium cowl that protects the engine. It must be done by hand. In a small village just outside York, vintage car restorer and panel beater Ben Ferguson is recreating the handiwork of 1930s technicians by eye.
I'm annealing this so that it makes it softer, which means it'll go into the hammer form a lot easier.
He's copying a cowl from another surviving Jungmeister.
So I'm going to send it in with this first and get the basic shape. If you were going to make dozens of them, you could press each component, but because of the costings, it's just not viable. So by hand is the only way in this instance. I like taking things on like this that I haven't necessarily done before, and you know, I've had a go and it's come out all right, thankfully. In with the air hammer now.
It makes a change from panel beating car wings.
Aircraft stuff tends to be a bit more intricate and absorbs a lot more hours, but the principle's the same. Just one more blister to make now, and then there's the internal structure to make, copying the original cowling, and then the latches, and then it's over to Taff and for him to fit.
If you want to put the pins in here.
I'll put the pins in and put that. Where's my pin putter in there?
Pin putter in there.
Back in the hangar, it's finally time to give the Jungmeister its wings. Lower ones first. It may not all be plain sailing.
First thing to do is to offer the wings up to the fuselage. This is the pin that goes in and holds the wing on. Split pin in there to stop it coming out, and there's just a tiny split pin in there. And we need Jack maybe on the wingtip.
Okay. Right then, Jack, you ready? Yeah. Aft with your wingtip. Aft. Bit more. Hold it there.
Nothing's been together for 80 years, so you know things change. But hopefully, if the measurements are right, the spars of the wings will go into the main spars of the fuselage, and they'll fit. But they've got to be within a mil, so it's quite close tolerance for such a big aeroplane. I tell you what, Ian, it couldn't be any bloody tighter, could it? Yeah, just if you go aft, Jack, just a touch.
That's as far as it'll go.
Is it?
Yeah, just start moving the aeroplane.
Okay. That's it. Right, short one at the front. Of course, there's no strength in the pins. The whole of the strength of the aeroplane is in the actual wires. Is it the wrong way around? Well, that looks about right, doesn't it?
Can't be.
Fabric's on the wings, the fabric shrinks and changes the shape of the wings slightly, so we really don't know until we try it.
At times, the project has appeared jinxed.
It's a series of problems over 6 years, so today isn't going to be any different. That's it. These wires are threaded left hand at one end, right hand at the other end, so you can tighten them by just turning the wires. And so they tighten up at both ends. If you had two right hand threads, they wouldn't tighten up. So that's the way it's done. So that's it. It's on. It's good. I'm happy. Wait.
Wing number 2.
Keep going, keep on going.
More aft, Jack, more aft.
I think that's about it, Ian.
That's it, you're in. It's just started to appear. Well, it's quite tight because obviously, you know, there can't be any play. I mean, if the pins just fell in, then we'd be worried about it. Yeah.
That's it.
Down a bit, Jack.
You're going around in circles. The Bucker aircraft are superb engineered aeroplanes, but of course everything's been in 100 pieces, and now we're trying to put it all back together again, and hopefully it fits and we haven't forgotten anything.
I think we're wrong again. It's far too long. Anybody think we didn't know what we were doing?
No, I'm not changing it again.
Yeah, there's something seriously wrong here. This is wrong twice. You are changing it again.
Just check it fits first.
That's it. Relax.
Suddenly you've got something that looks like an aeroplane, so with the wings on, I think, you know, there's a big morale booster to just get the thing finished. Engine's away at the moment, getting its cowling done. As soon as that comes back, that can go on. The exhaust is being made, so we've no big showstoppers now.
But the Jungmeister is about to throw one more problem at Tony and the team.
Are we ready?
At the Breton hangar, at long last, a plane that helped write 20th century history is emerging into the sun, 6 months after its first engine run was due. It's much more powerful than the original fitted in the 1930s, and that's created an unusual problem.
We'd normally expect this airplane to be hand-swung, but there wasn't anybody around who could swing it over the first compression. So in the end, we thought it would be a wise thing to go for a starter motor. We managed to find somebody in the States who would build one for us, and that's been the delay. So really, people have been too weak to swing it over.
Today, the engine is going to be started for the first time, but there are risks.
With any engine, if you get an air bubble in the bearing, it can be a catastrophic failure, and that's with any aero engine. So it's something that you're a bit nervous about, which is why we prime the engine with hot oil. This has been done now, so we're really ready to go. It's a new airplane, but it's like putting an old boot on. Okay, prop clear?
Yeah. Let me advance it a little.
Okay, I'll put some more prime in, eh?
But there's a problem.
There's not enough fuel in the engine yet, I don't think, and Ian's just advancing it a bit. Okay, try again. Set. And clear prop. Okay.
Nothing obvious, but I think you need to wind the oil pressure up a few pounds.
Okay. Doesn't quite explain why it's so low, does it?
No.
The oil pressure is a little bit low, but we're going to increase the oil pressure now, but that takes about an hour's work. So, but we're there, and there's oil pressure going around, there's fuel pressure, the engine's running, the mags are working on both mags.
There'll be no engine run today, but they've proved the engine will work, eventually.
Okay?
That's it. Bail out then.
Okay. It's a major, major step forward.
It's another small setback, but it's solved just in time. An inspector from the LAA, the Safety Regulators of Light Aviation, has come to look over the Jungmeister.
Should we pull it forward?
Yeah, we can, if you don't mind.
But the plane includes a number of modifications, and approval isn't a done deal.
Over the years, I've been monitoring the paperwork from Taff on the Jungmeister. The task today is just to have a look at the aircraft in the flesh and
in particular at the modifications, make sure there's nothing that we've missed.
Clear prop.
I think it's very important that they're kept flying, not only so that we can enjoy flying them, but also so that the technologies are understood, because I think when you stop using something like this, it's surprising how quickly the knowledge about it can be lost. So this decking is also shorter. The successful outcome of the day would be issuing Taff with clearance to fly paperwork. I'm surprised what a small angle this must actually move through on the mag itself.
Yeah. He found there's something basically wrong, you know, let's say, for instance, the aircraft was overweight, or there was an attachment that was put in wrongly. You know, it could be, you know, months and months and months to put it right. We have seen fires with these things.
I know it used to be a requirement that you have a shut-off solenoid valve.
Right.
But that seems a bit simpler and more reliable, really. Nowadays, when we're looking at modifications to them, we're applying even higher standards than would have been used when they were first designed. So we're applying 21st century standards to 1930s aircraft.
It's bomb-proof. You could actually fly it within the range with a full baggage load, with a suitcase or whatever in the back.
Do you think you ought to put a limitation on the quantity of oil you put in it? Just thinking about if you did a flick roll with that full.
The inspector seems happy, but he also has some reservations.
The aeroplane is clearly beautifully restored and in a lovely condition with many improvements over its original state. I've just picked up a couple of nuts and bolts to be changed and the odd split pin, and I'm anticipating getting the paperwork issued in the next day or two, really, once those have been attended to.
Yeah, it went very well. You know, Francis is obviously very thorough. He's picked up a few little things, but nothing significant. And I would imagine it's a morning's work just to alter a few things that he doesn't quite like, and then it'll be ready to fly. So yeah, so we're very encouraged.
20 years after he bought the remains of a pre-war biplane, Tony is finally ready to fly it.
Francis put me through the hoop, but all the mods now are done and completed, and he's happy. And we've got a certificate of clearance to fly, so it's yeah, it's all go. This is the one. Scary. Okay, start to spin it round then. First flights are always extremely difficult. There's no fun involved because there's so much responsibility, and obviously a lot of people have helped me. Everybody's sort of counting on it being a success. So there is pressure on. Okay, keep pushing and we put it into wind. But once you get the first flight out of the way and you know the engine's going to run and you know that the temperatures and pressures are stable, then it's time to have a bit of fun. That's great.
In the 1930s, emergency landings were an everyday event. Tony's preparing for the worst.
Well, I'll just get airborne, climb straight ahead, get some height, and then I'll be over the airfield all the time just in case we get any problems. So at least I've got a sporting chance if the engine stops to get it back on the ground in one piece. The Jungmeister, of course, was at the time the ultimate aeroplane.
Switch it off. Switches are off.
Clear. I'll try it fully advanced. Clear. Alan, can you just grab the fire extinguisher? Clear.
Tony is about to trust his life to technology developed before he was born.
Half X-ray rolling.
And at last, one of the last survivors of Franco's Air Force takes flight once again.
The feeling doesn't go away. It doesn't matter whether it's 1936 or whether it's 2022. It's the same thing. You're there with the airplane alone. No one's going to help you. You're exploring the envelope. Exactly the same as it would have been 60, 70 years ago.
At 76, Tony can imagine the day when he must hang up his flying helmet, but not yet.
I don't know how long I'll carry on with aerobatics, and I'm thinking now maybe it's time to stop flying down the runway upside down, but just something that I'll make that decision, you know, and I don't want somebody coming up to me and saying, Taff, I wouldn't do that anymore.
It'll never be his last project. Before he's finished one, he's lining up the next one.
After a half-hour test flight, the Jungmeister is returning to its hangar. Despite its problematic rebuild, it is fault-free.
No, it's just lovely. It's absolutely beautiful. I can start enjoying it now.
This rare bird has been reborn at a sky-high price.
There's no shortcut to it. You know, an engine's 40 straight away, so probably about 130k pounds. There you go. And the thing is that it's an iconic aeroplane, and all these Buckers, you know, there is a good, strong market for them. So it'll always be worth, you know, what you put into it for sure. My pay rate wouldn't be very good. I'd probably be about £1 an hour. Well, we took a lot of time over rigging it, you know, days and days and days. So yeah, so it's all paid off. It's good. Got to go have a lie down now. At the end of the day, you know, it came here as a pile of bits on the hangar floor from America, and slowly over the years we've put it all back together again and given it a fresh new lease of life. You know, it's really important because these are all historic things, and you know, if we lose them, they're gone forever. So, as it is now, as long as it's flown carefully and looked after, you know, it's good for another 50 years before we have to rebuild it. So it's good. It'll see me out anyway.